Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we are going to talk about the drama, the drama and the level of toxicity in the community right now. And that's right, it's female custodies. So get a brew and let's have a chat. Yeah, right. Okay, so this is a video I've been putting on and off now for a few days. I have recorded it, I have deleted it, I have recorded it, I have deleted it. And you know what? I'm just going to do it. So, female custodies are now a thing. Cool. Just for the record, for anybody who wants to come at me, because I'm apparently making a video on this and the level of toxicity from both sides, which we will address. You can believe that. Just for the record, I have absolutely zero problem with female custodies. Hey, let's be fair. By the time the process is finished, they're not even going to look like a female anyway. And when they keep their helmet on, 90% of the time, they still won't look like a female. So who gives a crap? One thing that I am annoyed about is the lack of miniature. Where is the model? Where is it? Games Workshop have had probably about 2.5 years to develop the new codex, write all the stuff in it. I know they copy and paste most of it, but they also had the opportunity to produce a really cool looking female shield captain. Instead, we got the squat guy. Now, I've seen a couple of people say that miniature was probably sculpted at the back end of the pandemic. It's probably correct. We all know that miniatures are normally sculpted at least 2 to 2.5 years before they even hit pre-order. So it's probably a good chance that that was done in and around the pandemic or the back end of it. But that still doesn't change the fact that there is no female miniature for this law change. And it is a law change. Now, you can argue the point as much as you want that it isn't a law change and that they've always been there because their Twitter account has said it, but it literally is a law change. Everything that they've ever talked about with custodies has always been centered around them being male. Even the original Rogue Trader rulebook has them as men. Their 8th and 9th edition codexes have them as men. That is not necessarily a problem, and I fully agree that Aaron Dembski-Baldwin and the other talented writers at Black Library would probably have delivered some really cool lore and stories to support this change. And I'm all for that, if it's done correctly. I mean, otherwise, what do we get? Another Primaris Marine type situation that even Games Workshop now in 10th edition are backtracking from. When was the last time you seen them talk about Primaris Marines? They don't exist. They're basically Space Marines again. So, law does change. Primaris Marines are pretty much just better Space Marines, or new defined processes of creating them are now, that's what they are. Old school Space Marines are in Heresy, and that's where you get them. And even then, Heresy has changed as well in regards to how Space Marines are recreated, because we now have Inducti. So I get that law changes and law can be enhanced and enriched and expanded upon. But what you do not do is gaslight your fan base and customer base when they ask you a simple question of, why did you make custodies female? This is not, I don't think the vast majority of hate directed at Games Workshop is because of the change, and we're going to address the two sides here in a very second. But I think the vast majority, and for people like myself who don't really care either way if it's male or female, I think the vast majority of people are kind of angry at the way Games Workshop have handled it. Now, like I said, I don't care about a male or female centric miniature. Doesn't really bother me. Like, at the end of the day, it's your hobby. You can do your hobby the way you want. If you want to play your army entirely female, and this is including those people who want to do female Space Marines, go for it. You can do that. If you want to have an entire male Custody Guards army, you can do that. If you want to have an entire female Custodes army, go ahead and do it. It's your hobby. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't do with your miniatures. It's yours. Now, I know this is probably going to open the can of worms of, well, that means we can now have female Space Marines. Yeah, cool. Look, they potentially could, and they could change it to make that happen. But let's be realistic here. Space Marines are Games Workshop's cash cow, and there is no guarantee that a female-centric Space Marine or a 50-50 female Space Marine kit would actually sell. And I'm going to actually say this now, and it pains me to say this, that I actually agree with Major Kill. I watched Major Kill's video and was like, damn, I agree with him. Shit. Balls. And I do. If you haven't watched Major Kill's video on the subject of female custodians, go and watch it out. It's really, really good. And he nails it. Like, the whole thing about female custodians and the whole thing about female Space Marines, it actually nails it on the head. It would be, female Space Marines would be detrimental to female players and female-centric characters in the game because they're not female. By the time that the process is done, they literally become masculine weapons, and that is everything about a Space Marine is just masculinity ramped up to 1,000. They are everything about them, and that's the reason why the female Space Marine thing doesn't work. And I completely agree with Major Kill. But just getting onto it, before we sort of go into the drama itself, the one good thing that has come out about all of this is that Discourse Miniatures hasn't made a video. I suppose that's probably hard to do when you can't slag Games Workshop off for doing something cool. And it must be put her in a really dilemma because she can't get that sweet, sweet, sweet ad money because she can't make a video about slagging Games Workshop off without opening the door of being attacked. Must be really hard to sort of live in that little bubble. But it's very telling of the content creators that have not covered this and the ones that have. Obviously, there's a lot out there of kind of covering it that it's the female part that's the problem. I don't think the female part is the problem. I think Games Workshop is the problem. Now, the drama has expelled, I never knew anything about the drama until I come back from my Age of Sigmar tournament, which was really, really good. Thank you, Pete, at Exploding Dice for running an amazing 2 days of 5 amazing games. Will, if you're watching this, you were my favourite game of the entire weekend. Absolute baller. Really, really good fun. I can't wait to play you again, my friend. Quality. But the drama was mental. I literally come home and I got home and had my tea. My head was banging because I hadn't drunk enough fluid. I was playing 2 games of Age of Sigmar that day, and the day before I did 3 games. And I picked up my phone and I turned Facebook on and then Twitter. And oh my God, what an absolute shit show that was. The level of toxicity from both sides has been horrendous. And that is something that is, I'm sorry, but is not welcome in the hobby. This hobby has always been about bringing people together for a shared love and passion of fighting with toy soldiers and the IP itself of Warhammer, be it 40k or fantasy. It has not been about whatever real-world ideology you follow or any other little insecurities you have. If you are somebody running around the internet right now going, this is a win, it isn't the win you think it is, because you have no miniature. There's nothing here to say that Games Workshop can't remove that short story from the Codex in 11th edition and basically just ignore that this ever existed. You don't have a miniature. Once you have a miniature, then they have to put their hand in the pocket, spend some money, and actually go through with what they're doing. Until then, it's not the win you think it is. If you're one of these little boys who are really insecure and think girlies have got cuties, then you need to grow the fuck up. Absolutely need to grow up. Like, seriously, this is about toy soldiers. Like, I play Age of Sigmar. I couldn't really tell you what happens in the story because I don't really follow the story of Age of Sigmar. And I'm actually going to make a video on this about playing 40k and Age of Sigmar and about the lore and playing a game and not really investing in the lore. A lot of competitive players are exactly the same. You ask them what's going on in the world and they're like, I don't know. A realm gate opened. Cool, let's roll some dice here. But the level of toxicity from both sides has been brutal. And it's just not, it's just not what this hobby is about. And it's, yeah, I'm going to sound like an old man now. You know, I've got grey in my beard. I'm a long beard. I can sit back and say this, that this is not what the hobby's about. When I got on this hobby as a kid, and yes, I am doing, when I was a lad, like, I'm literally doing it. So sit back, shut up, and listen. When I was a lad, this hobby was for the outcasts. It was not for the popular kids. You got bullied at school for being a Warhammer nerd. Like, seriously. We would meet behind the back of the gym and talk Warhammer and read our White Dwarfs, because you didn't do it in public, because the popular kids would batter the hell out of you, or tease you, or pick on you. It wasn't good to be in Warhammer. The shops were always regarded as where the weird smelly boys went to play toy soldiers. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't popular. It is now, and it's getting popular, and it's really good that it is, and that kids nowadays are not going to have to be given that stigma that we had when I was a kid. But the level of toxicity that these two sides are aiming at each other is not welcome. We don't want that in the hobby at all. We don't want it. This video isn't about female custodians, or if and we should have or shouldn't have them, because quite frankly, I don't care. If the miniature looks cool, brilliant. Give me cool miniature. If it's big, luscious, big mama boobies on a female custodian, happy days. Let's get it on. If it's a good miniature, I will buy it and I will paint it. If it's not, then I will slag it off and go, that's crap. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. You may not dislike it, but you don't necessarily have to then start calling people the N-word or an incel or any other thing that you can think of. And people coming around going, oh, Games Workshop's gone woke. Games Workshop's been woke from day one. Hello? The whole thing of 40k was literally a satire piss take out of a fascist system. Learn your history, boys. Like, but the hate needs to stop. And content creators need to stop pushing this as well. Like, they need to stop, like, sort of trying to create divides, because that's not what this hobby is about. The main point of this hobby is the social aspect. The social contract between two people to play a game and be fun and enjoyable with each other. Yeah, you're going to get douchebags all the time, but the vast majority of people are pretty good once you get them on the table and start rolling dice. And the ones that are douchebags, guess what? They don't play very many games with people. I'm absolutely sickened at the level of toxicity from both sides. In fact, I seen a member of Team England for the Age of Sigmar Six Nations team flat out calling people Jimmy Savile players. Now, he used a lot more worse words than that, but you can kind of get the gist of what he was calling people. All because they didn't share his opinion. They weren't sharing hate. They weren't sharing anything that is bad. They were just saying that they were disappointed the way Games Workshop have handled this, and that they were mad that their army has now got girls in it, even though the story has always said male. Because you've got to remember, and I'd be interested to actually see the actual full codex, is to actually see how they've changed at the beginning. I would love the Black Library authors to really go to town and actually give us an in-depth process of how custodians are created. That would be really cool. Because we kind of get it with Space Marines. We kind of know the Space Marines. We know their implant process. We know the kind of sort of processes that they've had. It's been described many a times in many novels. I've seen it from the Dark Angels perspective, the Blood Angels. The William King novels with Ragnar Blackmane literally explains how he gets picked as a 14-year-old boy and how he becomes a Bloodclaw. It's really interesting to see. And I would love to see that opened up and expanded on by the Black Library authors for custodians. It would be very, very interesting. And if it includes females, brilliant. If it doesn't, then why not? You've said they're real. Now give us more. But they need to give a miniature. And the toxicity at each other needs to stop. But holding Games Workshop account for their stupid decisions and how they handle things is 100% legit. So keep doing that to them. And here's the thing, right? And this is for both sides or anybody in the hobby in general. If you don't agree with what Games Workshop do, stop spending money. Don't spend money. Don't buy. Don't be one of these people who are going to be like, I am not going to spend any money anymore, but I'm going to 3D print an army and I'm going to still play their games. No, no, no. If you don't like what Games Workshop's doing, walk away. Find a different company and support them. Stop playing the game, because you're still supporting them. Even if you're playing the game, you're still supporting them. Somebody could walk into your local gaming club and have no idea what Warhammer 40k is. They've lived under a rock and they have no idea what it is. And they look at that and they're like, oh, what's that? That's 40k. Oh, that's really cool. Guess what? You've just sent that person to a Games Workshop store or an online retailer to now buy into the game. You've just helped Games Workshop. So if you don't like Games Workshop and you don't actively despise what they do, stop supporting them. Stop playing their games. Go and find another game and enjoy that instead. Because one, you'll be a lot happier as a person, you'll be less angry, and your hobby will be a lot more fun. Like, I don't like getting kicked in the nuts, so I'm not going to ask some random person to keep kicking me in the nuts. It's common sense. So, and if you are one of these people who are going, I'm not going to support Games Workshop anymore because of girls, then stand by that. Because I guarantee if I see people online in a few months' time posting pictures of Space Marines after they've said they've stopped, I am going to troll you hard. I'm going to troll you really hard to the point you block me. Because you're an idiot. Stop. Just stand by your convictions. And Games Workshop also need to stand by their convictions. If you're going to make these changes, then do it in a meaningful, proper way that actually is cool and makes your customer base go, that's amazing. And that includes showing us a damn female custody miniature. It's not hard. You had chances. You've had 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Nearly 3 years. Over probably 3 years since the last Custody Codex come out. You've had plenty of time to do it. There is no excuse. Now, the conspiracy theory tinfoil hat could go onto my head now, and I could turn around and go, oh, this is because of BlackRock and their shareholders. Dun, dun, dun. Or it's a simple case that it is a tick in the box exercise, and that's it. I don't really think so. I think Games Workshop are smarter than that, and I think the authors and the people that write these stories and create these amazing worlds that we enjoy and love are a lot smarter than that. And I give them credit when credit is due. The way you've handled this is not very good. Trolling and gaslighting your fan base on Twitter is not a smart move. Showing us really cool kick-ass female custody miniatures or even artwork. Come on. Like, how hard is it to get someone to do some artwork for the new book of a female custody? There's nothing other than a story. That's it. Come on. Work harder. Do more. Make it meaningful. Because right now, you're making the Primaris change look good. And that was abysmal. That law was abysmal. No matter how many times you retcon it and try to forget it, it was still abysmal. The whole Primaris thing was just bollocks. And this is on par with that. To turn around and go, they've always been there, isn't the case. Make it cool. Make it awesome. Make it that the fans can actually get excited by it. Because otherwise, this is just going to keep happening. And, you know, yeah. And this isn't the first time Games Workshop have retconned things. I mean, like, let's be fair. Squats, killed by Tyranids, now Leagues of Votann. The 13th Black Crusade. Oh my god. That was a great summer, by the way. Had a great time playing that. Loving it. Loving the shenanigans with all the different chapter forums that were on there. And the Alpha Legion player creating a Dark Angel account and going into the Dark Angel forums and telling them that they all had to basically put the results in this area, and the Alpha Legion and Chaos players then attacked another area and the Dark Angels lost an absolute load of territory. It was absolutely hilarious and it was really good. And this was in the infancy of the time of the internet and it was a really good time. That brought people together, and then it was a draw and Games Workshop just blatantly ignored it and just retconned it. And they did the same thing with Storm of Chaos. And they did the same thing with Medusa 5. And they did the same thing with pretty much every other change that they've done to the game. All the time. So the problem is, it's not that they don't do changes or they don't do meaningful changes. They kind of do changes that sometimes just don't make any sense and are handled really badly. And sometimes they make changes that are really cool. Look at the Stormcast Eternals. First edition, they're all male. Second edition, we got female. Did they explain why? No, they just said every warrior is picked, male or female. Cool. Like it or lump it, boys and girls, but women do play this hobby. They do enjoy this hobby, and they are a part of it. And you will be surprised at how many women work at Games Workshop and actually do your art, write your stories, sculpt your miniatures, and paint the box art. There is a lot of them. Louise Suggs is one of them. She used to work there, and she has done quite a lot in and around the Games Workshop company, and a lot for lots of different games. You will be surprised that there are many, many, many more. So if the issue is of women, then I'm sorry to say, but you need to get outside and touch some grass. And to the other side, if you want to run around and think this is a win, it's not. It's not a win. Not until you get that miniature. So rather than take this as a win, because you shouldn't be taking this as a win, you should be bombarding Games Workshop going, where's the miniature? Show us the plastic, because that's what it's about. I'm going to stop this video here. I think I've done this in one take, so I'm quite happy with that. Pretty much got everything off my chest. Look, at the end of the day, this hobby is about bringing people together, not dividing it. And I personally am not interested in anybody from either side with that level of toxicity. I have unfollowed content creators because they have supported both sides. And I'm not willing to do it. And this channel is all about the hobby, bringing people together and rolling dice, and the love of Warhammer. And if you are not a part of that, or you think any different, then guess what? You're still welcome, because everyone has an opinion. I may not necessarily like your opinion, but I'll respect it, because I'm an adult. So, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You know the thing. I'm not going to go into too much. You can look at my other stuff as well. But hopefully I'll see you in the other videos. There's a lot more to come, and I'll catch you later, people. Goodbye for now.